Hey everybody, happy, what's today, Tuesday? I'm so excited to be back. I've been taking a couple days to get some things organized. So, but I was really inspired by the flowers that have been blooming, and I want to share some special things with you today. So we're going to learn about George O'Keeffe. I'm going to bring these back, but I've got some real flowers for you to check out right now. I cut this one from my garden, which I feel very guilty about, but she worked a lot outside, and since I wanted to film this for you, I decided not to work outside, but I have my window open, so hopefully you can hear some of the birds, and hopefully you hear more birds than cars driving. So I'm going to read you this book in another video. I want to quickly show you a few books about her, and then we are going to practice doing something she did, which is drawing really beautiful flowers and blooms up close so we can get those details. So let's see here. So this one I'm going to read you later. Portrait of an Artist by George O'Keeffe, or not by George O'Keeffe, about George O'Keeffe. This one is, I love this one. I've showed this in other videos. It's called Women Artists A to Z. I marked her page with one of her postcards. You can see that. So we'll keep that for later. This is one of her, this one's about her, F is for flowers. She captivated the world with her flowers. She would paint the same flower over and over, bigger and bigger, closer and closer. She shows how to look deeply at everything and to see nature in a whole new way, it says. I love this book. This is another great book that she's included, and she worked until she was 98. And she was married to a really famous artist, Alfred Stieglitz, but she also really was very famous in her own right. Even at the time, a lot of women weren't being able to be as famous as artists, and that still kind of happens, but she was sort of, her career was helped by her husband, but I think in a way it also kind of kept her, he always was a big artist at the time, and now that the world is sort of like evolving a little bit, we realize that she was a really amazing artist in her own right, and she is kind of known for her own work. So I think that's really cool. This is another great book I think I've shown you before. This is kind of different illustrations about her. This is her. She had really particular outfits that she liked to wear. She lived in mostly in the Southwest, in New Mexico, but she was born in Wisconsin, so that's so cool. It's just one of her little flowers. So I'm just gonna go through these quickly. Here's another great book, 13 Artists, Women Artists Children Should Know. And I have this here because I thought Georgia might have liked this. My friend Laura printed this, and I think it's kind of a good message for right now. I'm just gonna check the video to make sure that we're still, yeah. I think it's kind of a good message for right now, where we are with, you know, all the things that we're dealing with right now, and just kind of the idea of blooming where you are planted. She moved from, oh man, I'm going to get it wrong. She moved from New York. I think she was born in Wisconsin, and then she lived in Chicago, New York, but she really ended up loving New Mexico. And when she got there, she just felt like that was where she was supposed to be. So that's where she painted a lot of her really famous pieces. So she painted lots of flowers, landscapes, and lots of skulls. So I just like this bloom where you are planted card. It kind of goes with it. So she worked in the desert a lot. Here's a really beautiful image. If you can see that, I'm going to bring it up closer to you, of one of her poppies. Let's see, yep. Okay, so that's another great book on her. So I am going to bring back, how should we do this? We're going to sketch a flower today. I'm going to just keep this postcard of hers. I love this. Now this one is from my friend Lacey from 2014. But this one's called White Flower on Red Earth, and this was done in looks like it was done in 1943. So that's a really beautiful one. You can see that. And hopefully my camera's picking this up, but she would zoom into things and paint the details. And the older she got, she started to do even more abstract work, so you might not see even the whole piece of a flower. You would see part of it, or a shadow. I have some real flowers today. I think we'll try and have one of these because it looks so nice, but I'm scared to ruin these flowers, my orchids. So let me just show it to you. So see how you can see when you really look up close at the flowers. You can really see these beautiful insides. It's kind of hard to move orchids. I don't want to break the branch, but the beautiful insides. Lots of times flowers have something called stamen, which are like the little sprouts in the middle. Here is another beautiful, we have a lot of orchids blooming right now, so this is a nice time. Hopefully you can see those. I would love to draw these or have them in the shop, but orchids are pretty delicate. So I snipped one of our daffodils, which I feel terrible about, but we're going to work with this one today. So if you want to grab, if you just have a pencil, that's fine. If you have paints, Georgia really liked to oil paint, but she also did spend a lot of time using oil pastels, from what I've read and from what I've seen in her work. So I thought we'd use oil pastels today because they're something that I really like them, but I kind of, to be honest, avoid using them because they turn into, maybe if we turn it that way you can see. I'm kind of scared to have the orchids up here, but I don't use oil pastels very much because I'm an art teacher and in the art room they get very messy. I'm going to take mine out for you. I have a couple different sets. So oil pastels are fun because they're really beautiful, right? You can see, so these are old ones from my friend Olivia, Faber-Castells. And I have chalk pastels and oil pastels. And these are really rich colors. They're nice because you can get really beautiful colors out of them. They're very striking, but you do usually have to use a fixative. I think you can even use hairspray. I should research this before I say it. But there's things you can spray on the paper once you're done, because if you don't, your picture is going to smudge. And I think there's other ways to even maybe spray it before, so when you color it on, it kind of holds onto the paper. Sometimes it's okay to have our artwork be smudgy too. I like oil pastels and chalk pastels because you also just have to use them and not be so worried about being perfect. So I'm going to take this out of the box. I think I might actually take the orchids off, even though I love looking at them because I'm just afraid that I'll knock them over. So say goodbye to our orchids. So partly what we're going to practice today is I have a pencil too. And when we look at this piece, we think about, she did have a background in some of hers. She even had more zoomed in, but she took something normal, right? She doesn't even use that many colors in here. She took something we look at every day, like a daffodil. You can see daffodils blooming all over. I got this one from my yard. But the coolest way to be to go out to your yard. And can you see the beautiful yellow? Let's look at the colors. And then there's orange around here, some white, and maybe if you wanted to somehow draw the green stem coming off. So it depends on what you want in your picture. You could have all this part, you could have just one part of it, so you just see the orange ruffle, the little stamen. But she did a lot of observational drawing, which means you're staring at the thing that you're drawing. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to use a pencil. Now my view is going to be a little bit different than yours because I'm staring at it from down here. I would love to show it to you from up here, but I'm not talented enough to figure that out. So I'm going to do it from the vantage point that I'm looking at. Actually, this almost looks like a daffodil, doesn't it? But I think it was a different flower. So I'm going to use most of this paper, and that's what I would tell you to do. If you don't have a flower, you could even use a branch or leaves. She used skulls. Even a pine cone would be cool. It's just something from nature, something simple. And I want you to think about zooming in, like if you're on a photo and you actually zoom into it to get closer and closer. So I really love this yellow part, the stamen, and maybe this orange part. And maybe I'll have a little bit of my petals. So I'm going to start with the middle, and I'm going to make it really big. This is going to be my kind of that outside orange part. My light's a little tricky in my studio right now. So now I'm going to kind of do these lines that are connected. And this is also a good practice in sort of perspective drawing. The thing about Georgia is that she didn't have to, I wouldn't say her works are abstract, at least not the flower ones, because abstract means there's nothing really recognizable in it, and they look like flowers. We know that they're flowers. Her later works were a little bit more abstract. They were more like a swoosh and a dot, representing something. But But I would say that these are pretty broken down. Like, they don't have to be looking like photos. That was not her goal, I don't think. So maybe I'm going to do some lines here. I should have practiced this before, but this is me as an art teacher, just going with the flow. I guess that's what I ask you guys to do in class. So I want you to take whatever you're drawing, take a couple of minutes. I'm going to kind of do it in real time with you because I don't know how to speed up the iMovie yet. So I have my orange, and then when I go in and add with my colors, I'm going to be able to add shadows and stuff because I know I want to show this really pretty yellow part down here, so maybe I'll even erase the lines. Then I can see these cool shapes, so just start to break down the shapes. I've got this big petal here, got another side of the petal. Now they overlap, so that means that I can see that this top petal is overlapping on top of the petal behind it, and that gives it some depth. So I'm going to draw mine like this, and I'm just going to let it even go out to the edges of the paper. Now I'm going to be drawing this one that kind of curls over this other one, and we can always just kind of doing this to get a general idea. And this is cool. See where it overlaps? It makes a darker color. Do you see that? So this petal is overlapping on the one behind it, and you can see here it changes the color. So maybe when I draw that, see, this one's this one. Maybe when I draw that here, I'm going to think about how I use color here. I'm going to make this darker to show that there's something underneath it. But you don't have to. She really just would draw these big, beautiful pieces in landscapes. So maybe I'm going to do something like that. I don't think I'm going to show you my whole drawing because you will probably get bored of me talking and drawing. But let's get to at least some of the coloring part. I like to kind of pick out some of the colors. I'm going to try and hold it up so you can see it. I like to pick out some of the colors I think I'm going to use. Ooh, and that kind of matches that one. Before I get started, just so I kind of have them near me. And even a color you don't think you see right away, but maybe this color inside. I hope I'm doing this right so you can see it. This bright yellow color is maybe on the inside. So see how I'm kind of setting mine out? Now, I'm lucky because there are a lot of colors in this, so it's kind of easy to find. And sometimes once you get them with the other colors, you realize it's not the right match, but it's just kind of nice to put them near you. If you don't have, and there's even, if you really look, there's almost kind of looks like green down there, doesn't it? So I might even take a little bit of like this color. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because when you look at the petals, they're whitish with almost kind of green in the shadows. But if you don't have these, you could totally use crayons, you can use paints, you can use whatever. I'm just going to start by the part that grabs me the most, which is this orange. So again, the goal should be to just really be looking and observing. It shouldn't be, it doesn't need to be that it's perfect. It's to kind of follow these shapes. And I can see where there's pockets and overlapping, there's darker. Follow these shapes. Get the colors out. So I would love to hear what you're drawing. I would love it if you sent me pictures. So we can tell that up the top of the lip of it is darker, right? And I'm kind of going to do these, kind of lightly going to do these lines, but they might get smudged a little too. Just kind of so you can see. And maybe I'll even get another. I like oil pastels and chalk pastels because they make you kind of, you can make nice lines, and it's not that you can't make them perfect, but they're always going to smudge a little and move. And so it's kind of nice if you just want to be kind of fluid in what you're doing. And it lets us worry less about it than just kind of putting down what we see. So I'm going to add a little bit of this because I am seeing kind of some of these lines are almost more this color. And they don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the exact color. I wish I had a bunch of postcards of hers to show you because she really has. But if you Google George O'Keeffe, and I'll put some links because I think you can tour the George O'Keeffe Museum in Mexico. Okay, now, what are we missing? That deep, beautiful pop-in yellow down there. So I'm going to put that. Maybe a little bit of this. Oh, and this color was actually really more like that. These cool stamen, wasn't it? So you can see I'm working kind of quick, and that's okay. I think it's fine, especially when you're doing observational drawing out in nature. It's kind of fun to just let take colors and grab what you see. You can always perfect it later, but if you're observing something, it's okay to just get the colors that you... Now, the cool thing about oil pastels is that they start to smudge, and I'm actually going to pick a lighter, because if you see, there actually is a lot of area in this flower that's kind of neutral, this creamy green, white. Even in here, the thing that makes the orange pop so much is that the whole thing isn't this color. So we've used some of our bright colors, and I might even take a little bit of this green out here and kind of like, I don't know, just kind of add sort of outlines. This is going to be a messy drawing in my sketchbook. These are kind of, you can see kind of some of the lines in here. And we're going to end up going over this with a creamier color too, but this is just going to kind of blend in. So we've used some of the bright colors, and now I can go in, kind of hold it up. This one's pretty close. Can kind of go in here and start to blend. I might even use a little bit of this color. Sometimes you think, this is a lot about learning colors too. Sometimes you think something looks a certain way, and when you get it next to other ones, it looks different. So see how I'm going in here and just kind of adding this in. And when you start to put this color in here, you can kind of use it. See how it's smudging? You can use your fingers, but I think it's nice to use the chalk pastels. There's also blenders, which you can make by rolling up paper. Because if you use your finger, you're really getting a lot of oil, and every color that you use is going to be on your finger. So I am not going to make you watch me draw this entire thing. I think I'm going to keep going and pause or stop the video here. I'm going to let you draw yours and share it with me. Now I might use a little bit of white, knowing that it's not actually going to stay white, because this isn't like a perfect Snow White, but we don't want them too yellow too. I do want the petals to look different on the inside. But see how I'm kind of using this white and it's starting to blend in with the green. So oil pastels are a really fun way to think about colors and how colors affect each other and how colors can mix. If you don't have these, you can totally do this with sidewalk chalk. Maybe it really might be fun to be outside and just be doing some stuff on the sidewalk. Like, look at something up close, something just in your yard, even if it's a pile of rocks. Kind of observe them and see, what do they look like up close? I'm kind of all over the place here with my coloring. I want to lighten up the middle a little bit, so I might add some white. See how that kind of adds on to that. All right, so you can see that I'm making a lot of powder, so if you are doing oil pastels, you want to be careful to clean up your area. You don't want to breathe them in, and you don't want to smear them. If you've been in my class, I've hopefully told you that before, because it'll wipe stuff all over your painting. So you kind of want to take your drawing and tap it in the garbage, because all this powder is going to stay and leave color wherever it touches. So I think I'm going to stop there. This is what we've been drawing. This is kind of the beginning of my little drawing of it. I think I will want to make this darker down here somewhere. I keep going back and drawing even though I tell you I'm done, but there's lots of ways to do it. Maybe I want to do this. Maybe I want to blend it in a little bit so it's not so dark. Something to show that really deep, beautiful yellow in there. And again, it's going to look different depending on how you look at it, but I can't wait to see what you draw. I'm going to, here's kind of an example, and then we can color in things here and make the background. I am going to read you a book next. So again, you can use sidewalk chalk, and we're going to learn how to make sidewalk chalk paint this week. You can use chalk pastels, crayons, paints, anything. I can't wait to see what you do, and send me your pictures. Okay, have a great day.